Oh, hi. How are you guys? Um, you know what? I have seen a lot of videos on guys and gals of what their different fly tying benches are like. And I picked up a lot of tips that helped me in getting started myself. So, with having been fly tying down here for a few years in southern Missouri, I thought I'd give you what I settled on for a fly bench and let you maybe pick up a couple things that you'd find interesting or maybe able to apply to your fly tying bench. But this is my comfort zone for tying flies. And so why don't we go ahead and look at that bench. Now, mind you, if you do get bored, you can just fast forward and I have the joke of the day at the end. So let's take a look at the bench and see what you guys think and if you pick up something or not. Talk. So this is pretty much my fly tying bench. However, before we get there, let me just say that, which is true of everybody, you surround yourself in your man cave with things that just mean a lot to you. Of course, I have my desk over there with my computer, and then I also have some wire shelves that I put on that have Tupperware and a lot of paraphernalia that you need from time to time. I have a bunch of different Harrell in there. I have a bunch of dubbing in there. I have a lot of hackle that are in those Tupperware bins, and different wires, hooks, things like that that I just don't need every single day in my fly tying bench. So my fly tying bench, I do have two lights generally going, one on the left and one on the right, and therefore there's no shadows when I'm fly tying something. On the back wall, I have two old bamboo rods that my father used to use. He was a big time crappie fisherman with fly rods back when he was younger. Dad has passed away. He passed away when he was 95. I hope I have his genes. And then the very top rod is an old Shakespeare rod that I had, the very first fly rod I ever had. And I think it's a 6 weight, and I fished a lot in Wisconsin with that. So with that being said, I also have my old fly vest that I don't use anymore, but it's got a lot of memories in there. I would say my fly tying, or excuse me, my fly fishing started seriously when I was in Wisconsin, and I had a buddy call me, and he said that he and his friends were going to go up to Flaming Gorge fly fishing, and I said, well, that sounds like fun, but I haven't fly fished forever. He says, well, go, come on along. My buddy knows all the knots, everything to do, da 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 da. So I went there and we fished the Flaming Gorge, the bottom of the Flaming Gorge, and just had a fantastic time. And I thought to myself, oh my stars, going back to Wisconsin, I can't wait this long. So I bought a bunch of books on how to fish for smallmouth bass. And so I used to fish a lot of smallmouth bass. And then I moved here to southern Missouri, and besides going to Montana with my cousin a couple times a year, about 3 times a week, I fish on Lake Taneycomo, which is actually a widening of the White River. Now, that's not what you came here for. Let's get into what my fly tying bench consists of. First and foremost, I did find this metal frame table that I have that was in an antique shop, and I said, oh gosh, that would be perfect. And I first put it in the middle of the room, and that way I would be facing anybody that came into the room. But then I decided that I would love to have this little shelf above my bench that would hold a lot of different things. So let's take a look at that first. And I went ahead and on that bench, I went ahead and screwed on that shelf, I should say, screws so that I could easily hang on my hackle pliers, my whip finisher, my commonly used threads that are already in the bobbins, and then I have some wire brushes that I use for teasing out hairs whenever I'm tying a scud. These brushes I got at Harbor Freight, and I think they're originally to clean out the anuses of chipmunks. I don't know what they're for, but they're a real nice stiff brush, and Harbor Freight has these on a little ring with like 3 or 4 different sizes. So that sits there. And then the other thing that I have here, which is kind of interesting, is I have a floss threader. Now this thing is really, I got a couple of them. There you go, you see them against the white. Just like you'd have from a dental office, they're floss threaders. And what they're really good for is going ahead and getting your thread through your bobbin there by using a floss threader. And I just tease the floss threader up inside there, put my thread through the floss threader and pull it right up through the bobbin, and my thread is up and ready to go. So that's one thing I have hanging there. And of course, like I said, various threads. On top of the shelf, I have some commonly used things almost on every fly. I have all my different glues there. I have an old Griffith's thin head cement. I never use that. And then I have hard head clear from Loon. And then I have Sally Hansen, which I use a lot of for my glues on my thread when I'm done. And then for various flies, I will use some super glue now and then, Zap Gap. I just like super glue better for me, but I have it there. I also have a little bit of wax that I never use, but I did when I started tying seriously a while ago for my dubbing. But now I have learned how to do it with saliva on the thread. And then of course I have my various wires that I use for segmenting different bodies on my flies that I tie. On the left I have my hanging on the edge of the shelf would be my hackle pliers, various sizes and strengths of those, and then I have my whip finisher, and then every once in a while I do need a pair of tweezers. Then down here is something that I use a lot of, and that is a little closed foam cube that when I bought a ping pong table months ago, I thought to myself that would be perfect. And I must have gotten like 20 of these things packing the ping pong table. And gosh, they're fantastic for putting my bodkins in or needles real fast. The other thing I like about it is that I will use a wash rag on my lap, and then whenever I use a cement of some sort, I'll wipe it on my lap on that rag, and then I just put it into the closed cell foam here, and that tends to clean that tip up really well for me, and I don't have to take a lot of time in between. And so I also use this cube that I will just dry flies on it temporarily, and then I put them in either in my fly box, or I do have a segmented little Tupperware that I use for excess flies. Here is the beauty of my fly tying bench, and that is it is an old jewelry box that, get ready for this now, that my wife got from her first fiance that she broke up. And after she broke up with him, she met me and we got married. However, she still had the jewelry box from a birthday gift from this old fiance. And not only did I win the girl, but I got the jewelry box. And in it, I keep a lot of my commonly used threads. And then I also have one segmented drawer that has all my tungsten beads. And even my most commonly used hooks, which are usually for scud patterns or midgets. That's what I tie out a lot of. And then I also have various tools that I need once in a while, just once in a while, that are in here. I still have some extra hackle pliers in here, so if you need any, just call me. And a stacker that I haven't used forever, but I will. And then I have a collection of razor blades, and you probably know from seeing my videos that I will cut off my excess thread with a razor blade, and I can get it so nice and close that I don't have to worry about scissors. Speaking of scissors, on this end of the bench, I have attached a bar, a magnetic bar that you can get at any big box store. And that magnetic bar is made for keeping knives and things like that in the kitchen. Well, they also do a fantastic job of just keeping my scissors at hand and ready to go. That's why I like it a lot. So that's just a little something that you may find interesting. And then as far as my tying, fly tying vise goes, I have a very heavy weighted, gosh, this thing's got to weigh close to 5 pounds. And then it has my old vise in there. Now the vise does not do circles or doesn't spend its weekends in the circus or anything. It strictly does the things I needed to do. I suppose I'd like it to rotate better than it does, but it ends up being very valuable for the simple flies that I tie. However, as I've watched other very accomplished fly tyers, I see that on their newer vices, that they have an apparatus by which they can hold their thread out of the way when they're tying something else around the hook of the fly. So what I went ahead and did was I went ahead and I just drilled a hole in the side of this, and then I just screwed in a piece of plywood that is forked on top. And that allows me then to go ahead and just put my bobbin over the side, and it keeps it out of the way when I am tying flies. So the other thing I have is I also have, like everybody else, I have a little vase with pheasant tails in there. I have a vase with pheasant tails in there that I use a lot for antenna on my scuds. And then I also have a little dust mop. But this little dust mop that I bought at Kmart is ostrich feathers. And it was $6.50, I think. And I have so much ostrich feather to use that I use on small little midges that I tie, that it's fantastic. You probably see me tie that on a waltz worm or something like that. I can't think of anything else that I have here that you would find of interest other than something extremely important, and that is my loops. These are just jeweler loops that I used to use in dentistry, actually. But you can get these online And gosh, they're fantastic for seeing the tiny little flies that I tie. And I had a professor in dental school. This is back in 1969, 1970 or so. And he was an oral surgeon, Dr. Wells. And he said to me, here's what you want to remember. He says, you want to see well what you do so you can do well what you see. So anyway, he said, do well what you see so you can see well what you do. And not only does that apply for when I did dentistry, but it also applies to my tying flies. Another thing, you got to keep track of stuff that's sent to you. I have a little black piece of foam that I use quite often when I need to photograph my fly very closely for a thumbnail for any video that I'm making. So I just have that to the side too. And then lastly, I have a little thing that, again, because I have a metal frame, I have this magnetic little apparatus that I got, again, from not Home Depot, but from Harbor Freight. And what's really nice about this is that it telescopes into something quite long. And then, therefore, if I drop a fly or something on the floor and I can't see it, or the hook, and I don't want the dog to walk in it, I will just go ahead and put this back and forth and pick it up. And then I just go ahead and put that back on here. And then what happens is my loops just hang on the side of that. So that's pretty much it as far as my everyday usage of tying flies and what I need. And the nice thing about having a fly tying bench, ladies and gentlemen, is that I don't have to worry. I just come down to my man cave and everything is set up. I don't have to bring anything out to the dining room table. The other thing is, I do like this weighted vise because of the fact that I can move that thing back and forth however I want it, compared to being a C-clamp onto the edge of my table. I also like that if I cut off any excess or anything like that, it just lands on the table or right underneath the vise. And then what happens is I have a garbage can that I just hold underneath here, and I just swipe everything into the garbage can, but I hardly have any extra pieces fall onto the floor. That's about all I've got for you. So thank you for viewing. Any questions, you can email me, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. I sure hope I didn't skip anything that I do find that I use quite a bit, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Oh, wait a second now. Those of you that did watch all this way, you really need to hear this, okay? How do you get 100 mathematicians into a space that only holds 99? Well, what you do is you place the 99 and carry the 1. Sorry. See you later. Bye.